Sometimes now, more than ever, it feels like the world is falling apart. In the past year alone, we've witnessed enough massive historical changes to last a lifetime. We've also had to live in the constant shadow of the climate crisis looming over our shoulders, showing us symptoms of a diseased planet everywhere we look. But how can we build a healthier, greener planet when it seems like the very systems designed to protect us are failing? What can we really do as individuals to make impactful, greener choices in our lives? These are just a few of the questions that have dominated online conversation. Whether we like it or not, social media is becoming a major player in the realm of social change, with the revolution no longer being televised, but rather tweeted, live streamed, and TikTok danced to. Sustainable lifestyle communities have popped up across all sorts of platforms, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and rather than being paralyzed by fear for the future, these creators have channeled their energy into something creative and worthwhile, encouraging viewers to experiment with unique ways of reducing their environmental impact. There are hundreds of thousands of videos and infographics highlighting ways of managing wastefulness with food, water, plastic, clothing, and cosmetics. There are hacks and how-tos on adopting eco-conscious behaviors, as well as thrifting hauls and sustainable brand sponsorships. Interested in learning more about the relationship between social media, sustainable craft, and identity, I talked to 3 college girls about their approaches to navigating this complex world of sustainable living.
I've seen a lot of cool hacks on a bunch of different websites. I think the biggest platforms for me would be TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram. On Instagram, I saw a bunch of people carrying around tote bags, which I don't really like to hold things in my hands. So using tote bags is helpful because it looks good and it's useful and good for the environment.
With using a bamboo toothbrush and using toothpaste tablets instead of plastic toothpaste.
From these examples, it's clear that social media plays a critical role in influencing our behaviors, inspiring us to adopt and imitate the patterns that we see on our screens. A similar concept of observational learning was first proposed by psychologist Albert Bandura under the term social learning theory. This theory details how we, especially as children, are surrounded by models, like our parents or characters on screen, that provide examples on what behaviors to adopt and how to navigate our complex social roles. Nowadays, unlike the generalized impact of movies and TV of the past, social media offers a truly customized learning experience, allowing us to seek out our niche interests and discover new behaviors to build our identity around. I asked my interviewees what they thought about the relationship between their green lifestyles and larger identity.
Turned my lifestyle around the idea of being eco-friendly, and also I have right now I'm an environmental studies student, so I will be translating my eco-friendly behaviors into my actual career and my life.
Alongside these learned and repeated behaviors, fashion is another form of expressing our identity. In particular, sustainable fashion is one of the most widely discussed topics online. As a counter to rapid-paced, environmentally destructive fast fashion, sustainable fashion allows participants to bring their environmental impact to the forefront of their purchasing decisions. From investing in recycled eco-friendly fabrics to purchasing secondhand clothing, sustainable fashion has become an interesting intersection of materiality, aesthetics, and altruistic actions.
The initial consumer that purchased the clothing are responsible for all the waste, and they're responsible for the water usage that went into making that article of clothing in the textile factories. So when I'm repurchasing it, it's not affecting my personal carbon footprint.
I think that developing your own personal style in the setting of a thrift store is helpful for you to be sustainable and eco-friendly because you rely less on trends to direct your clothes purchases, which will make you less likely to shop fast fashion, which continuously fuels unsustainable and ethical production practices.
When we choose to base our consumption choices on achieving a collective good, such as caring for the environment, we are acting altruistically. Altruism has long been a critical part of human psychology, allowing us to build lasting communities by providing and caring for others. However, the popularity of thrifting is not simply limited to acting on behalf of a greener earth. With the rise in fashion-centric social media, there's a real emphasis placed on cultivating individual style and aesthetics.
These clothes are almost one of a kind, which is really fun to like have something distinct for yourself.
I find that each piece is super unique, and I wouldn't be able to find that in like a store that produces the same copy of that piece of clothing.
As highlighted by anthropologist Daniel Miller in his book Stuff, fashion is not a superficial concept, but rather a complex vehicle of expressing one's inner self and outer social roles. Especially in fashionable urban areas like London, there's a lot of anxiety towards navigating trends and developing your own style. But it seems like thrifting allows us to bypass some of this anxiety and truly focus on what clothing you happen to find and enjoy. It strikes an interesting balance of self-motivated individuality and creative expression, along with the desire to consume on behalf of a collective good. Just like any material consumption choice you make in our current system, sustainable living can be a minefield to navigate, even with the added help of social media. Even thrifting presents its own set of ethical concerns, especially in the wake of its soaring popularity online. A once stigmatized act, shopping secondhand has become trendy, fueled by videos of thrifting hauls showcasing one-of-a-kind finds. Reselling apps like Depop have also gained momentum online, offering users a platform to find and exchange unique items. Consequently, thrift stores are now facing swarms of people who treat the low prices and eclectic finds as an opportunity to consume to excess and resell items at dramatically high prices. Many are concerned about the ramifications of this, including rising store prices and gentrification, which is when low-income spaces are infiltrated and drastically changed by wealthier individuals. Those who have no other choice but to purchase secondhand clothing may now struggle to cope with high prices or even to find worthwhile clothing that makes them look and feel good. Not only does thrifting come with its own ethical concerns, it's often not as sustainable as it seems. I talked to Avery about her experience with this.
Like the thrift store that I work at is unable to take a lot of the clothing that people donate to us because of wear and tear and the mass amount of stuff that we get in the first place. So a lot of it doesn't sell or doesn't pass through the sorting process, and there is a lot of waste produced.
Ultimately, as enjoyable, cost-effective, and sustainable as thrifting may be, it's clear that you should be considerate of your personal impact, rather than blindly following the trends that pop up on your feed. As some advice to be more sustainable, try to simply consume less clothing or selectively choose clothing with a clear intent for it to last in your closet. If you do have the budget for it, consider investing in sustainable brands and materials, or searching for your finds at a high-end vintage store rather than a low-income Goodwill. And as always, consider donating your old items to secondhand stores or even directly to shelters in order to ensure that they will be used instead of thrown away. On an even broader level than thrifting and fashion consumption, there are other challenges when it comes to consuming sustainably. As an altruistic consumer concerned about your impact on the environment, you want to be making the best choices that match your budget without compromising your morals. However, companies are acutely aware of this balance, often taking advantage of consumers who want to live their lives a little greener. This marketing strategy is called greenwashing.
It's basically when a company tries to come off as more environmentally sound than they actually are, and they can do this for a couple reasons. A lot of times, environmentally conscious goods cost more, so they can justify having a higher price. And also, people who are environmentally conscious are more likely to buy the higher priced items. So they're making a profit out of exploitation, basically. A lot of the times you can tell if something's greenwashed based off the packaging. They use a lot of wood tones and a lot of greens and tans. But if the product itself doesn't actually do anything useful or is made of sustainable items, then it's greenwashing.
Over the next month, as Earth Day is on the horizon, it is likely that you will be exposed to a lot of greenwashing. One of the best strategies to avoid greenwashing is to conduct your own research. Be wary of claims made about certain products on the packaging and instead look into the company's actual actions on behalf of the environment. As we've seen, social media is a powerful tool for spreading trends and raising awareness, but it's often only the first step. To truly achieve sustainable change in your life, you have to be willing to try new things. Try exploring other perspectives, experimenting with different behaviors, and staying informed on issues online and in real life. After all, we don't need a handful of people doing sustainable living perfectly. We need millions of people doing it imperfectly.